Li Wei, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, Standard Chartered's latest report is setting China's GDP growth expectations for 2021 at around 8%. That seems to be a pretty broad consensus across the economic community. But what do you think are going to be the major drivers of that growth?
I think it's going to be consumer-related industries, and also we think there's going to be a recovery in service sectors, for example, accommodations, catering, international travels, and those sectors are likely to be the key growth driver for 2021. In comparison with this year, we saw car sales, housing sales, and investment being the key driver for this year. But next year, we expect consumer spending and also some of the service sectors to be the key growth driver for 2021.
We have seen interest rate cuts, cash injections from the central bank that have really pushed that recovery, as you said. But we have also seen some signals from the central bank over the last couple of months that it is or might be looking to tighten up monetary policy again. But how could that affect the economy going forward? Are we going to need to see a bit of a rebalancing there? People are going to have to wean themselves off?
Yes, we do expect to see some rebalancing in terms of the growth drivers. But also we think the PBOC will very carefully manage the pace of the tapering or the policy exit in 2021. We do not expect an abrupt slowdown in the credit growth because that could disrupt the economic recovery, and that could also increase the default risk, which is already happening over the past several months. So the tapering or the exit from easing policy, monetary policy needs to be very gradual, and we expect the credit growth or the total social financing growth to slow probably from around 13-14% this year towards like 10-11% and next year, largely consistent with the potential nominal GDP growth rate. So China's top priority, or at least for the monetary policy, from the monetary policy perspective, will be stabilizing the credit or stabilizing the leverage ratio while continue to support economic recovery, at least through the first half next year. And depending on the effectiveness of the vaccine, we may see some reasonably tightening in the second half, but pretty much depending on how effective the vaccine will be and how fast the global economy will reopen and provide additional support of China's economic recovery going forward.
That's the monetary policy side. What about the fiscal policy side? Do you see for winding that back slightly as well?
So this year, the fiscal policy has been very proactive, very active. We saw the broad budget, which includes not just the general budget deficit, but also spending through a funds account reaching 10.8% of GDP according to the budget. Lots of bond has been issued, but the spending has been lagging behind the bond issuance. So there's a huge or quite a large amount of fiscal savings that can be carried from this year into next year and to be spent in 2021. So as a result of that, we think for next year, the government will start to reduce the broad budget deficit, probably from an actual deficit of 8% of GDP this year to 6% of GDP next year. This is a reflection of fiscal consolidation and emphasis on the sustainability of fiscal policy. So yes, we do expect easing or tapering of monetary easing and also a smaller fiscal deficit for 2021.
Let's turn to the 14th five-year plan, which was agreed in late 2020. How do you see that affecting the structure of China's economy going forward?
It's the most important strategy, not just for next year. It's going to drive all kinds of economic policies, regulation changes through the next 5 years or even longer. So the 14th five-year is have three key pillars. One is innovation to become the core driver of China's future growth. A second one is industry upgrading, especially in those cutting-edge industries like AI, integrated circuits, and those needs a lot of research and investment in research. And also, China is committed to expand its domestic market because it's already a middle-income country, and it has 1.4 billion people, and so consumption, industry upgrading, and innovation are the three key pillars of future growth in China. And everyone needs to be mindful of the 14th five-year plan in order to navigate the future changes in China.
Li Wei, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.